I would love to answer that, and I think even holding this guitar that I found right here in your house, it's your guitar that you play, and I'm playing it. Thank you for letting me play it.
Yeah, of course.
There's things that we hold dear in a society, in a construct, and those things are expressions of our inner soul, our inner spirit. We express those, and we do that through music, through art, through extreme sports. I don't know what it could possibly be. There's a lot of different ways that we express ourselves, but you don't see that in a place that's been colonized by an oppression. So if you're under oppression, you're not able to be free. You're not able to even pray. You're not even able to seek the God of Israel. You'll be killed. And the punishment is death for going against that certain oppressive system. And it's kind of hard to talk about because it's oppressive, because it's repressive. And so if you want me to compare and contrast this studio, which is a nice one, it's got, by the way, has the best view in the whole. It's a very good view. But this studio is a place where people can express themselves, and they can be who they are, and they can express what's in their heart. But if you said contrast to a place that, like, think Afghanistan, what it was before, where you have the jingles. The girls all had these jingles on their headdress, and they had fancy skirts, all these colors. Now it's just black. They're not allowed to. In fact, they even cover their eye slot in some places in Afghanistan. And it's constrictive, and it's restrictive, and it's called oppression, and hyper-religious oppression. And the sad thing is, they really think they're doing the right thing. They think they're going to heaven. They think that they're doing what their Islamofascist, I call it, Islamofascist understanding of God wants them to do. And so you see Afghanistan. You can see what happened in Iran. And you've seen Star Wars before? So you have the Sith Lords over there, they're called Ayatollahs, and you have the Crown Prince, Reza Pahlavi. This guy's the actual Crown Prince. He's the rightful heir to the throne of Persia. And they want to kill him. He's come to the Western Wall, the Kotel HaMaravi, the Wailing Wall, and he's come and expressed his love for Israel, his desire to go back to what his own family line, his bloodline, did. So you see in these areas, and to really answer your question, is Hezbollah. They took over. They were a bunch of drug-dealing thugs, and cocaine and opioids and other stuff, and they use that to get money, and they repress their people. They suppress any kind of expression of anything except what they want. That's called a brownwashing, diabolical, and that could actually sweep the whole earth. And in many ways, we're seeing signs of that. No one wants to talk about this because it's too hard to talk about, but we're seeing signs of it throughout the world. But you find on all kinds of places like the Darknet, 4chan, you can find all kinds of things. Why can't we talk about what's happening around the world where Jewish people aren't the threat to according and Bilzerian, Dan Bilzerian. Hey, Dan, you're wrong. It's not the Jewish people that are a threat to. It's called the repressive, oppressive darkness, the dark side of the force. That's the good. The light is actually the Tanakh and the Bible, and that was all written here. And certainly some Jewish people are bad. Some Jewish people do bad things. But there are also those who wrote the Bible and who have the calling and the destiny and the responsibility to be a light to the nations. Wow. Well, if we don't care about truth, okay, so anyone can say their truth. That's what they say in the world. I have my truth, you have your truth.
Sure.
Okay. Well, what about why does life matter? Why do babies matter? Why does it matter? Why does anything matter? Really? You don't want history doesn't matter. You want to change history. You want to change archaeology where it shows that King David was here, King Solomon was here. The entire history of the Bible and the whole world. So if you don't have truth, what do you have left? You have anarchy. You have every man for himself, and what you end up with a society of whoever has the bigger gun or the bigger club, he's the one with the bigger knife. He's the one who's the boss. Bigger muscles, he's the boss. He can just hit a bunch of people, and he's the boss. And you start to ask yourself, and you say, is that the kind of society? That's called a warlord society. We don't want that kind of society. We've seen it in history. We don't want to go back there. You're talking about proof, your own family,
1741,
1700s, your own family's here in this land, buried here. Does that mean nothing to people who say they care about history, they care about truth, they care about morals, and the biggest institutions in this world who are supposed to stand for truth and morals and what's right, Harvard, Columbia, Yale, we're living in a real tipping point. We're experiencing a tipping point. You know, have you ever been in a boat and you're like, whoa, this boat is going. I was on a boat with my friends from Yahalom. We were on a little rest and we were in Tel Aviv, and they were not that long ago. And they're like, someone's giving us a boat to go sail. And sailing is hard. You have to turn the winches, you have to pull the ropes on quickly enough, or else you could tip. And so there was sometimes we thought, oh my, we're gonna tip because the waves were pretty big. And we're like, whoa, we're going over like this. But we righted ourselves and we quickly moved and if you don't watch out, the helm, not the helm, the bottom of the sail is like a big beam, and you're like, whoa, and it flips back. So my point of saying all that is, we are at a place beyond that where we actually could tip over as a Western society. Tipping point. And what are we going to do about it? We're going to let that happen on our watch, on your watch, or not. And if you want to know how to do something, well, by all means, ask. I think of tomorrow, Sunday, I got a message that, we're probably going to be back into Lebanon, and not just kind of near the edge, but deep, deep inside. Wow. And that's, I do struggle myself with sometimes just, what if I don't come back, and it could happen because people just died, 6 people yesterday or whatever, at the time of this filming. And so I'm like, but God is protecting us, and we just have to trust Him. And what is that called? Gird up our strength in the Lord. And it said, Moses, who's our boss, one of our bosses, he says, be strong and courageous. You know what? Joshua, who got the anointing, he said, be strong and courageous. You know what we believe throughout all testaments? Be strong and courageous. And don't be afraid of them, and stand up for what you believe in. And that's kind of the problem. If I could really, I just got this right now. If you pinpoint the problem with the West and the universe, everyone, they're not being strong and they're not being courageous. What they're doing is being weak and being pushed over, and letting everything that their forefathers fought for be taken from them. Is not cool. Yeah, it's like if now, we have so many friends that are Arabs, so many. I was with my Arabic friend today. We're hanging out this morning having breakfast. Me and my Arabic friend, I'm not going to say his name. We're having the best time ever. We have Arabic friends. Israel has so many Arabic people. It's a great, great thing. But what people do is they couple that, they tie it in with the ability to be a jihadist. But it's called knowing how to differentiate jihadism and murderism, differentiate that, which is not acceptable in any Western society because you go to jail for murder. Okay, and it's not martyr, it's murder. You're not being martyred, you're a murderer. So that is not acceptable. So just because someone's Arabic doesn't mean they're allowed to be jihadist. But it becomes people want to make it inseparable, and that is what we're coming against. I'm coming against. I'm saying you could be an awesome Arabic person who is my friend, but you can't be a jihadist, extremist, and blow up the Twin Towers or whatever else, or Boko Haram. And there's a list of maybe 48 or something terrorist groups around the world right now. You can, if you have ChatGPT as a challenge, go to ChatGPT and ask, make a list of all the extremist radical groups in the world. You're going to see from and what they're not going to list is the ones in America, okay? They'll list everything else, but they won't list those. And you'll see, it'll just populate and populate. What are you going to do about this? Are you going to sit back? Are you going to make a stand for, you also matter. Your opinion also matters. You're also a person. We are also people. And we can also express that we want to live in peace and not be overrun and bombed and killed. One of love. I got a friend, I won't say his name, but my brother actually now is helping him really expand his career. Wow. I can say it. But anyway, I won't. Anyway, point is, he's really, really big. And why can't we say their names? Why? I'll tell you why. Because it could be that some Muslim extremist people will try to find them and kill them.
Yeah.
They're the extremist jihadists will try to kill them. So that's why we're not telling their names. But they are our friends, and they're friends of Israel, and they're friends of what's right. And one last little story. I was sitting at my house with you, hanging out, and then guess what happens? This guy shows up, and he comes over with a group, and he said, I used to be a Muslim, and I was just trying to find the way to heaven, to find my way to be in eternal peace, and many people search for that, you know? And I was like, that's amazing. And he said, so I'm looking in all the texts. I'm reading the Hadith, I'm reading the Quran, I'm reading everything. And he said, suddenly I realized, oh my goodness, I can do a lot of good things, which with a lot of blessings, quote unquote. I can follow all these fatwas, I can do all these pilgrimages, I can pay all this jizya, I can do all these things, but at the end of the day, the only way to have a guaranteed pass, all expenses paid, no sins stopping me, is to kill an infidel. Murder an infidel. And he said, when I found that out, that is the number one guaranteed pathway to where he wants to go, heaven. He's like, there's something kind of flawed with that. Maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't agree with this, but I think there's something a little flawed with that picture. And he said, is there any other way? And I'm going to just pray, you know. And he prayed, if the God of Israel's real, suddenly had a huge revelation, a huge peace in his heart. And the love, he said, that took over his heart was so big that it pushed out all the hate, and the dark side of the force was gone, and only the Jedi win. That's the end of the story, is the Jedi actually defeat the Death Star. And I believe that's what's going to happen here too. Yes, and a last challenge that I'll give is I found a piece in King David. King David is I'm just cleaning this meanwhile. So King David had a real great thing, which he was saying that. So King David was saying that he believes that God is his protector, and you see that where all these kind of people come against King David. He should have given up. You know who else should have given up? Trump. Trump should have given up. Yeah. All these people should have given up. They didn't. They kept on going. And King David is now remembered and revered as one of these guys, the non-giver uppers. Better word is called an overcomer. You just Google that word, overcomer, and ask yourself, is that you? Are you an overcomer, or are you a spectator, maybe coward? What are you? So that is the question, what are you? And I suggest you pray and say, God of Israel, if you're real, then I want to be part of the story of Israel. And that's what we invite you into. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah.